This week, I had very similar conversations with a couple buyers who are in town, and it's all about how much does it cost to move to and live in Southwest Florida. So I'm just gonna cover a few of those items so that you can kind of have an idea of exactly what to expect if you decide to make the move down here to Southwest Florida. All right, we're gonna start with the big one because the biggest one is absolutely insurance. And there's obviously multiple arms of insurance. So let's just go right from the top. Car insurance. In our experience, car insurance is definitely more expensive here in Florida than anywhere else that we have lived. That is one area that you just need to be aware that might go up. Now, when we lived in Massachusetts, it was pretty high, so it might be comparable to some state or where you come from, but for the most part, when we came here from Illinois, it was significantly different. And just like all of our other insurance, and we're gonna talk about insurance for a minute, costs have gone up. So we do live in an area where we are blessed to be surrounded by water and in subtropical climate, which of course means hurricanes. And with hurricanes, it can mean damage. And so we have had several storms over the last few years that have definitely impacted insurance, both auto and home. So there have been a lot of cars that flooded and people had to kick into their policy and get new cars after some of those storms. So for those and a variety of other reasons, we do find car insurance to be a little bit on the higher side here. Now, the same goes for homeowners insurance. And a lot of this will vary based on what is your threshold and what is your limit for how much risk you want to take. Obviously, some people choose to insure at higher levels, other people at lower levels, but regardless, your homeowner's insurance is also going to be on the higher side. We have recently had some legislation that has been passed, and we have new carriers coming into the market, which is a great thing because more competition means that we hope to see some relief in some of the homeowners insurance premiums that we're currently seeing in our homes here. But there's always trade-offs, right? So we do get to live in paradise. We have perfect weather pretty much in the winter. We can have sketchy weather, in the summer with the storms. But one of the trade-offs of living here in Southwest Florida paradise is definitely the cost of insurance. Now, there also is flood insurance. So there are flood maps from FEMA. You can always look online and you can see it might be X, it might be X500, it might be AE. And then there are different levels of flood insurance within. So I am not an expert by any means, but if you're in an AE flood zone or other color coded on there, you can expect that you will be required to have flood insurance if you have a loan on your property. Now, obviously, if you pay cash, you always have the option to insure or not insure or to include a flood policy. We always recommend to consider getting a flood policy, even if you're in an area that it is not required. So we live in an X flood zone, which means that it is not required through our mortgage holder to have a policy. However, we still choose to pay for an optional policy so that we have it. But again, that is what we're comfortable doing. Everybody kind of has different feelings on whether or not they believe they should have them. And there are other factors that impact the flood insurance as well, the elevation of the property, the elevation of the lot. So there are several things that are included in that. This is why upfront we work with our insurance providers. We give you options. You can call your own insurance provider to get estimates on what you can expect for a home early in the process so that you know exactly where you stand. We do have opportunities to get discounts on insurance here in Florida through something called a wind mitigation report that you can get as part of your home inspection that will show the insurance company how the roof is attached. Is it up to current code? What size nails are used? There's all kinds of factors. It's a whole sheet, things that the inspector fills in. And based on how well basically the roof is built and how current and how up to code it is, how new it is, the age of it, there's all these factors that go in and that can give you an additional discount on your homeowner's insurance. So this is why when we talk about home inspections, we always say that you absolutely want to get a wind mitigation report as well. All right, next. Services on your home. So down here in Florida, we have some different options than what you might have up north. So things that you can expect to pay on a regular basis. Pool service, if you have a pool. Now, you can of course choose to do this yourself, but we have a ton of companies down here that will come in and service your pool. They will sweep the sides, they'll check the chemicals to make sure that everything is where it should be. And they usually will come in weekly. That is a weekly service that they provide. and it's gonna run you anywhere from $100 to $150 a month or more, depending on what kind and what size of pool you've got. That's one thing that you should expect. Another service that I highly, highly recommend that you consider is a bug service. So we are in Florida, there are a lot of bugs. So basically we pay a small fee every month they come out quarterly they'll wipe down any spider webs, they'll treat for any bugs, and then you have them on an on-call as needed basis if you see any issues. But you definitely wanna have a barrier set up around your house, and you wanna have a bug service, in my opinion. The next thing that you wanna absolutely have on a service plan is your air conditioning. It is our hardest working appliance that we have in our home. Some homes have two. You definitely wanna keep it on a plan and get it serviced every 6 months. They come in, they give it a clean bill of health, they flush it out, they make sure the filters are changed and that everything is in tip-top condition, because you know if that air conditioning is gonna go out, you know when it's gonna go out. The hottest day of the year, and usually in the middle of the night. So keeping it on a regular maintenance plan will make sure that it is moving along and does not do that to you. And these can vary. So we see about $150 a year per AC unit. And again, that usually includes 2 service visits. And there's some additional maintenance that we recommend that you do for your AC just to keep it nice and working and keep your home nice and cool. All right, the other maintenance item that we see here that's more common in Southwest Florida than what we had to do up north because we had siding up there is power washing. So most of our homes here are stucco, and they do require some maintenance. So we like to tell people to get on an every other year. So, 1 year you power wash your house, the next year you power wash your cage and your lanai. We are in Florida, things will get moldy, things will get dirty. So you do have to do that as part of your normal maintenance. Your houses need to be painted here, usually like every 7 to 10 years, depending on what kind of paint has been used, because the sun is awesome and it is bright and it will fade your house. So that will be another maintenance item that you should just expect. But again, the painting only happens every 7 to 10. Power washing, you really want to be on a regular schedule. Your roof as well, because mold will start to grow on there and it will get dirty and look unsightly. So that is another thing. When you have a tile roof, there are certain companies that do a soft wash. You'll want to make sure that that's who you're using to power wash your roof when you've got tile. Bonus tip, no matter what, our team, we still offer free snow removal all the time. We don't have to shovel sunshine here. We just get it 300 days a year. Pretty fantastic. All right, next, we talk about this one a lot, so I'm not gonna go in a ton of detail, but obviously if you are moving into Florida and into a neighborhood that has a homeowners association, you just need to be aware that we usually pay out quarterly for quarterly HOA dues. Condo association dues, they might be due monthly, they might be due quarterly, sometimes they're due annually, but you can have multiple different costs and fees associated with that, and that is gonna vary by location. So talk to your realtor or your expert on the ground to make sure that you have all of the information you need when you're putting together a budget and considering living here in Southwest Florida. If there's a restaurant in the neighborhood, don't forget to check on the food and beverage minimum, because typically the properties with restaurants will have an annual use it or lose it food and beverage portion. All right, something you absolutely should prepare to spend more money on than you likely do up north, sunscreen. Our sun is strong. You definitely want to be in the habit of using sunscreen. We work with a great foundation down here called the Passion Foundation. That is an organization that puts sunshades over kids' playgrounds in the school area here in Southwest Florida and up in the Atlanta area, in the Georgia area, and it's pretty awesome, but that is no joke. The sun is strong down here and you wanna make sure you're keeping yourself appropriately covered, and you should also plan on making sure that you're getting skin checkups every year with your dermatologist or as needed. You definitely want that to be part of your routine healthcare maintenance plan when you live in Florida. All right, next. We love our flip-flops down here in Florida, and let me tell you, your feet are gonna change. If you live here all year long like we do, Your feet are gonna flatten out and widen out from wearing so many sandals. And you just need to be prepared, because those favorite cute shoes that you bring down from the north with you, when you go to put them on after living in Florida for a while, they're gonna hurt your feet because they're gonna be tight, and your feet are not used to being so restricted. So you might need to work in some annual visits to the podiatrist as well when we're talking about your maintenance for your healthy lifestyle living in Florida. All right, a big one is food. So it really depends on where you shop. So when we talk about groceries, so Publix is kind of the big Florida grocery store. Most of us love Publix. You hear us talk about the Pub Sub, which is many people's. There's a cult favorite sandwich, the chicken tender hot wing sandwich that my kids love. But Publix is not the cheapest grocery store, I'm gonna be honest. But they do have BOGOs, and those are typically phenomenal deals. So you can shop multiple stores, you can be smart about it, or you can just shop at Publix, or if you really want to spend more money on food, you can shop at Whole Foods, because we've got those too. But we also have got Aldi's, we've got Trader Joe's, you can get groceries at Target, we've got Walmart's with grocery stores, so you have a lot of options. And overall, I don't really find them to be significantly different than anywhere else that we've lived. Now, I will say, like, if you are at the beach, or you're close to the beach, or you're going to a convenience store where people are vacationing, your prices are gonna be probably a little higher than if you're just shopping where the rest of us shop, just from being in a vacation area and locale. And we've got a lot of those here. So the other thing I wanna talk about, and one of my favorite things as a full-time resident, is in the summertime, our restaurants, they show us a lot of love. Down in Naples, they've got something called the Sizzle program, Naples and Bonita, and they've got a whole list of restaurants that participate in the Sizzle program, where basically they offer all these different specials that you can go and you can partake, and they're great, great deals. So it is our favorite time of year to go out and try a lot of the restaurants and go to some of our favorites. In fact, just last night, we went to Harold's in Fort Myers. Oh my gosh, it's been on my list forever, and had a phenomenal meal. Now, there was no specials on the food or any special menus, which was fine, it was fantastic. But in the summer, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, they do run a promo for half off bottles of wine. We've been to other areas where they'll have, like, you know, a 2-person meal for $99. You get to pick, you know, from 3 different courses, and then it comes with a bottle of wine. So there are a lot of awesome deals. Now, granted, you might not be here all year long. We don't really see those types of specials in season because our population increases by about 30%. So everything is busier in season, and most of our things are gonna be normal price during that time frame. But if you can find it in yourself, even if you're a snowbird, to come visit us in the summer, you are gonna find some awesome deals with some of our local businesses. And we always love to support all of our local businesses to keep them open and make this a fantastic place to live and visit. All right, just making sure, checking my notes here. Next category we want to talk about is entertainment. The coolest part of living down here where people vacation is we have a lot of entertainment things that are free. You can find live music almost anywhere with frequency, most nights, happy hours, on the weekends, bars, restaurants. Coconut Point will have music nights. You can go down to 5th Avenue, 3rd Avenue in Naples, they've got music. Downtown Fort Myers, so tons of options for live music. We've got farmers markets. You can always go to farmers markets for free. Weekend festivals happening all the time. Music, seafood, whatever you might think. We've got a festival going on for it at some time of the year, which is another one of my favorite things about living here. We've got crew trails, we've got nature trails. All of these things are free. And of course, can't forget our award-winning beaches. So you can always go to the beach for free. Now, when you live in Collier County, you can get a beach pass with your proof of residence, which is awesome. So free parking. And in Lee County, it's not free, but it's $60 a year. I mean, it's so reasonable. And it gives you access to certain parking lots with your sticker. So even the beaches are really awesome. You can go shelling, you can just go hang out for the day. So anyway, my point is we have a ton of free and less expensive entertainment options. And then of course, we've got all your normal things. We've got the zoo, we've got shows, there's golf, there's mini golf, there's all the other things that people like to do when they come on vacation, escape rooms. And you know, down in Naples, you can go see the opera, all kinds of stuff. I can't even think of it all because there's so many options. And I find that all the other entertainments are very much on par with what you would find in a town of a similar size up north. So not the prices of like New York, LA, but of mid-sized towns to go do a similar type of events and enjoy the entertainment. All right, so hopefully that gives you a rundown of some of the costs and what you can expect if you decide to purchase a home here in Southwest Florida. If you want more information or if you have anything that I missed, please let me know because we want to make sure and address it in another video. What questions do you have about moving to or living in Southwest Florida? Because we would love to talk about it in a future video. You can always find us on social media. Contact us directly at 239-776-6872. We would love to talk to you. If you've got questions, let's set up a time. Use the Calendly link below. We can make a plan for your move to Florida, or we can just answer whatever questions you have so you can decide whether or not this is a move that you want to make and if you should make. Our team is here to help you and be your experts and your boots on the ground. Thought this video was helpful? Please share it with somebody, like, subscribe to our channel so that we can help you live joy too.